Welcome back, everybody, to the daily show where we discuss and do technical analysis on big mega cap stocks. So, before we get started, please smash that like button, and 100 plus likes on this video would be greatly appreciated, guys. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. Now, if you want to support the channel and get my daily trade ideas, my swing trade ideas, live trading, and all kinds of setups, definitely check out their link down below in the description for Patreon. And now let's get right into it, guys. On Apple stock, it's absolutely flat on the day, and what's pathetic from bears that Apple gapped down on a news that Chinese company made more money than Apple last year, and we know that struggle in China for Apple, and that was the case with the earnings, and we saw that massive bearish engulfing candle gap down, but who cares? On Monday, we bought the dip. I even called out on my Patreon. And we went and bought the dip and then sold right here at 232, and fortunately, it was another pullback today. But what's unfortunate here that we did not actually get in. And why? Because early morning it was trading at 225, 226, and we opened at 228, 229, and the dip was gone. And you can see now we might be closing this gap from today early as tomorrow, 233. So that's going to be a resistance to watch. Over that, this thing can push up to 237. 230, your key line in the sand. Underneath that level, you might see a drop, possibly down to 220 on Apple stock. Netflix is up 1.63%, and what I said before, you can see, oh my god, this thing exploded, guys. Not even 1,000. We closed at a brand new all-time high and still going 1,014. So if you played it after looking at this pattern, we called it before, and now it's over 1,000. You had really nice setup here on Netflix, and now it's gone. Now if this thing comes back, there will be support around 1,000 and then possibly down to 986. But we're trading into blue skies, and this thing can push. You can see Bollinger Band expanded up to 1055. So if this thing wants to run, there is no volume shelf here. It just blue skies. So this thing can definitely run even higher. But be careful, especially if you're not in here when this thing was consolidating. Don't go and chase in the middle, because this thing can definitely also take a lot of money from you if you're going in the wrong direction and chasing the stock. On AMD, it's down 6.27%. So I was absolutely wrong on AMD. Even with this massive sell off, it was not priced in. We saw another dump off all the way down to 106. Now, you can see I did buy lots of shares of AMD even today, and this thing came back up. So that is a decent move, especially when thing was down to like 106, now closed at 112 and holding over 110, retracing a lower Bollinger Band. So going into tomorrow's session, if this thing, the sell-off is over, we actually got high volume and there was a lot of buying here. So AMD can stay over 110. We might see the gap getting filled at 115, possibly can come up to 118, and then we can talk about more upside on AMD. Is still on a strong downtrend with bad earnings, so nothing that is going to get out of this downtrend very quickly unless we get some really good catalyst in next few weeks. On Microsoft is absolutely flat on the day and came back down to 410. And you can see these candles, and especially one we got today, bottom wick, definitely looking promising. But this thing needs to stay over 413. If that happens tomorrow, we can stay over this blue line. You're going to see a quick trip up to 420, and the expected move for the week, I think, is 426. So we still have 2 more days to go. It can definitely run, and you can see after this gap down, it just pretty much consolidating, not really going anywhere. The range is like 410 and 14, 15, and that's where it's trading. So if this thing breaks the range, you're going to see massive expansion to the upside here on Microsoft. If not, this thing can also come down close to 400. That is where lower Bollinger Band is sitting. On Tesla stock is down 3.5%. So this thing took a dump off once again, came back down to where? Well, you can see this bottom of this wedge right here, the support right here, 375, held the support. And what's interesting, yes, it's looking good here, but also keep that in mind. Whenever a stock hits a support level multiple times, it can break. So Tesla, I don't know about the breakout to the upside. We're nowhere near, but you can see we're coming into this, end of this wedge right here, just coiling up. So something is going to give, something is going to happen here. Whether this thing breaks out over this previous, gap 401.34 now, or this thing breaks down below 375, that should take Tesla down to 362 to even this gap 358, and maybe down here at 345. But you can see it's still holding right here, guys, 375. So you can't say nothing unless this thing breaks down or breaks out to the upside. On Google, stock is down almost 7%. So Google went down and we bought up the dip today here on Google. And I'll be buying even more if this thing wants to come down a bit more. But there is a lot of volume on Google today, even on a down day. And you can see, I mean, there was, a decent amount of selling. But again, there was a lot of buying also. You can see off of this 50-day moving average, this thing went back up and now holding 193. So your key line in the sand will be down here, this 50 moving average 190 and the lower Bollinger Band. If this thing gives up and makes a new low, then in that case, watch out for this support right here 184 and then this gap 178. To the upside, we got a massive gap, so definitely there is a possibility over 190. This thing can retest 196, 198, 20-day moving average, and possibly up to 200 at some point. On Amazon, stock is down 2.43%, and they do have earnings tomorrow night. So I don't know where things are gonna go, but this thing already hitting all-time highs yesterday and today just consolidating. I would not even call this a big down day. It's holding over this previous high. You can see. So Amazon here, you can see it's holding 236, 237, and if this thing can actually hold tomorrow, we might see a retest of this previous high from 1 day ago, 242.52, possibly up to even 246. But if this thing gives up 236, then watch out for this previous high right here, 233, 230, and this thing did not go down that much. So especially with earnings, even if it's priced in, it might just stay flat. And you can see, I mean, earnings are gamble, guys. You guys saw that AMD. I mean, it was already down so much, and still with just a bit of a miss, and earnings, it wasn't that great. I mean, they barely beat on earnings, and that's why that thing actually didn't go up. Unlike something like PLTR, and that thing, they killed it. Especially what they had before, compared to that, they had really decent earnings, and that's why that thing was up. But when AMD was like 200 plus, they had good earnings, and now it's just not where it should be, and that's why AMD is down. So Amazon, don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow night, but we'll see and we'll find out tomorrow night. On Meta, it's absolutely flat on the day and another brand new all-time high. And you can see this thing actually, after hitting this high, came back and it was holding pretty much over this 5-day moving average. So I think here on Meta, 700 to 696, your key line in the sand. Only below that, you might see a drop down to 682, and then we can talk about possibly more downside. To the upside, blue skies, we're trading into blue skies right here on Meta. As long as it's over 700, it can go up to 720 and possibly much, much higher from here. On Nvidia stock, it's up and it's healthy today. And you can see, I mean, just when you think, and not only myself, a lot of people out there, even on X, saying that, oh, the next stop is, 107 or 96, or oh, it might just crash, lots of bad news coming out. Just when you think end is near, this thing rises back up to the upside once again. Now we have this deep sea gap on top, and there is a possibility if we can get over this candle, which is at 120, I would say 130. And I said that before also. Forget about top of this candle. I would like to see it over 130. And that's why I'm in here on Nvidia, bought the dip and still holding, and was actually looking to buy even more if there is going to be a drop down to 107 or maybe even 96. But that's not the case. We went right back up. And now looks like early as tomorrow we see a retest of 126. Over that, possibly this thing can go up to 130, and that's where this gap comes into play, guys. So Nvidia, it's going up. It's not out of the woods yet. Don't get overly bullish, but it's going in the right direction. And once we get over 130, we can play the gap back up to the upside. Now also keep that in mind. We got a huge resistance here at 126. If this thing cannot break, it might just come back down to 118. And if that gives up, it actually made a new low here on Monday. And if this thing comes back, getting a rejection from 126 takes out 118. In that case, that's not going to be good news for the bulls. Definitely will be a really good news for the bears for a move down to 107 and possibly going down even lower. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, and I'll definitely keep you guys updated.